We have 3 topics we would like to share with people who stumble across this video. Number 1, emotional cycles of change, the people you ask advice from, and the importance of protecting the quality of your thoughts.
Sounds amazing. And thanks so much for having me again, Sanya. I'm really excited about this conversation.
I really would like you to take us through the emotional cycles of change and what we can actually learn when we go through those kind of cycles about ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the emotional cycle of change consists of 5 main stages. So it's pretty much the stages that you will go through whenever you experience any kind of change, or maybe you have a different idea, or you're considering starting a business, or you're considering moving countries, anything like that, right? And so it typically will start with uninformed optimism. So this is when you have very little information about what you need to do, but you feel super optimistic about it. And so we've all had that with a business idea, or we suddenly have this idea that we think, oh, this is going to revolutionize everything, the whole world. We start visualizing it in our head. We kind of know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and everything feels like super easy, like it's definitely going to happen. But then the more you do research on this, you'll get to the next stage, which is informed pessimism. So this is when you start realizing, okay, maybe it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. You start seeing, okay, maybe I'll have to do this, or maybe there's this issue, and maybe there's this I hadn't thought of. You'll start doubting yourself. You'll start realizing, okay, maybe it's not as easy as I thought. The next stage is the valley of despair. And so this is when you get to a stage where you're like, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. This is typically when imposter syndrome kicks in, where you feel like, okay, this is not for me. I don't think I'll ever be able to do this, when self-doubt really creeps in. And typically this is where most people will quit. And what happens is that they'll quit at stage 3, the valley of despair, and then they'll move to the next idea and kind of start the cycle again, where they'll have like uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, and then they'll just repeat that cycle again and again. If you actually make it through the valley of despair, the next stage is informed optimism. So this is when you have a lot more information, when you've been doing things for a while, and you actually see, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I can see this going somewhere. And then the last and final stage is success. But if you can make it through this valley of despair, that's where a lot of the dreams, a lot of things that you wish for in your life are there. Like, so making it through this valley of despair is essentially what will get you to success. If you give up during this cycle, well, you miss out on amazing opportunities, amazing possibilities. One of the keys to making it through this valley of despair is to protect the quality of your thinking. For example, if you're in a place where you think everything is possible, where you're trusting yourself, you're backing yourself, you're going to make decisions that are going to allow you to keep going. Whereas if you are in a place where you feel low, where you're doubting yourself, where you believe in your fears, this is probably where you're going to quit. In order to make it past this valley of despair, you need to really make sure that you're protecting your thinking, that you're surrounding yourself with people lift you up, with people that remind you of how powerful you are. And so, I mean, I can relate this to my own experience of becoming a coach, right? So I started off at the beginning. I was like, oh, finally I found this profession. It's exactly what I want to do. It gives me meaning. All I have to do is talk to people and ask them questions, and that's going to be my job. And so it felt like, oh, this is amazing. But then the more I got into it, the more I realized, no, actually, even just growing your own business, you have to face rejection. You have to reach out to people. You have to build a business. You have to sell to people. And, all of this became very overwhelming. And eventually I got to the valley of despair, where I started questioning, why am I even doing all this? Is it ever going to be successful? Is it ever going to work? In those moments, I was working with a coach, or I was surrounding myself with people who had the same goal, who had the same vision. And they constantly reminded me of why I was doing this, power of what I'm capable of. And being around these people is what allowed me to get to the other stage and eventually get to a place where now, I'm living from wherever I want in the world. Like I'm earning pretty decent money from it, enough to travel the world and fully live from it, and not to be dependent on any other source of income. And I know that, if I keep going, like it's only up from here, right? And so, but if I had stayed in that valley of despair, or if I had quit while I was in the valley of despair, I would have missed out on all the amazing things that I'm living in my life right now.
This is very important, the valley of despair moment. We all have been there before. Maybe you've questioned what you wanted to study, if you decided to study, what you wanted to do, what kind of jobs you want to go for. I remember those moments when I was really young and when I was planning to move to England. I didn't have doubts as such, but I was surrounded with the people who were discouraging me from doing it, when deep down in my heart, I saw that as a great opportunity as a young person to experience living in another country. Clearly for me, it's been a great success. I have a great husband who is English, and we have a son, and we live a decent life, and we mind our own business. If I gave up in those moments of doubt when people were trying to tell me certain things, I actually potentially wasn't surrounded with the right people, including my own parents.
In the valley of despair, anyone who has ever been successful in anything will have been through that valley of despair, and they will know exactly what it feels like, and they might even see it differently. So for example, when I first got into it, it felt like, oh, this is the horrible, how can I go through this? I have to, I'm facing failure, I'm facing rejection, it's the worst place to be. But now that I look back on it, I see it very differently, and I see that actually this valley of despair was actually what made me. It was there to teach me all the lessons that I needed to learn. At the beginning of my journey, I was focused on the outcome, and the outcome was, I don't know, for me it was creating a successful coaching business where I was able to live from it. And now that I'm there, I realized that wasn't the right goal. The actual goal was the person that I became along the way, the person that I became as a result of going through the valley of despair, but as a result of facing the rejection, as a result of going through all the emotions that I experienced during this time of wanting to give up and continuing, the resilience that I built. That's what the goal is actually. It's not the end goal of having successful coaching business. It's all the learnings that I picked up along the way. If you find yourself in the valley of despair, it's so important to branch out and reach out to people who have maybe been there, who've experienced that, because they'll be able to remind you, this is part of the process. This is the good stuff. So like, enjoy it and keep going, and don't give up, because the growth comes from everything that you're experiencing right now, not necessarily from the success that you're trying to get. I just want to stress the importance of the people that you surround yourself with, and the importance of the people that you ask advice for, because this is one of the best lessons, and I only learned it in the last year, which was, don't ask people for advice who aren't living the life that you want to live. One of the ways that I did this was I would often go to my parents, often for validation or asking them what they thought of what I was doing. The thing about your parents is that they want you to stay safe. They want you to not get hurt. And so the advice that they're going to give you is going to be to ensure just that, and make sure that you live a safe life where you're not at risk of being hurt. If you want to live in an unconventional life and do things a bit differently, you have to face discomfort. And like I said before, this is also what actually builds your resilience and allows you to build the life that you want. For me personally, working with a coach has always allowed me to surround myself or have access to a different level of thinking. So someone who is going to remind me of how powerful I am, remind me of what I'm capable of, and also not prevent me from believing my self-doubt or believing my fears, and someone that's going to be there and remind me of why I'm doing this and that it's going to be okay, right? So the other amazing thing you can do is find a community. The first time I truly experienced this was, so I just come back from 3 months of living in Bali. And in Bali, I was randomly invited to join a men's circle. And it was a group of 40 to 60 guys, and we would meet every Saturday morning, and we would share ideas, discuss the current problems that we're facing. And being in a group like that, I was exposed to so many different levels of thinking. And because some of them were extremely successful, had companies with 800 plus employees, and being surrounded by them and having access to their thinking and being able to ask them questions or even have discussions with them, well, it fully elevated what I believed was possible for my own life. a lot of what we spoke about earlier with regards to the people you surround yourself with, well, they are going to impact the quality of your thinking. They're going to impact the quality of your thoughts. And so if you're not very mindful of the people you spend time with, and even you touched upon the content that you consume, right? And I think you shared a really cool quote with me before this call, where it's like, before we would say that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but now it's actually you are the sum of the content you consume. Everything that you're consuming, everything that you're doing throughout your day is impacting the quality of your thinking. And so one of your jobs, if you want to ensure that you're spending as much time with having high quality thoughts, is to protect your thinking and ensure that you expose yourself to as little things that bring you down, as little negativity as you can, and spend more time either consuming content that empowers you, spending time with people who believe in you, who remind you of what you're capable of, what you're powerful of, who don't spend all their time complaining, because that's going to improve the quality of your life. Like the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life.
So can you tell me a little bit about your self-assessment tool that you have on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure if you've heard of this quote before, but all change starts with awareness. And so if you want to build or change your thinking, if you want to upgrade your thinking, if you want to find more clarity over where you're going, it starts by first becoming very aware of where you're currently at right now. And so the self-assessment tool, which is called the self-confidence test, is basically a way of you getting an instant and very accurate snapshot of where you're currently at, so that you can then take the necessary steps to move forward. If you do take the test, I'll actually provide you with the clear steps that you need to take forward and what you can do to live your life with more clarity, confidence, and purpose.
Thank you so much for your time today, Alex.
Thank you, Stania. It was really great talking to you.